Olympic commentator Bob Ballard was fired for making a sexist comment insinuating that women take longer than men to get ready. And I just want to say, at the BOYSCAST, we denounced that comment, and we have gender studies professor Melanie Fisher in studio to give her our producer is waving at me that she just needs a few more seconds here to do
whatever she wants to do. And I'll just take a second to say the idea that women take longer to get ready than men. Is she ready? Oh, false alarm.
Possibly a quick reminder that we are in fact live, and this is a short segment. Couldn't hurt. Oh, I've just been slipped a note from our producer that she is making one more tiny but definitely extremely necessary wardrobe adjustment.
If it wasn't necessary, she wouldn't be doing it.
Apparently, she does need to grab a quick snack after that. She's feeling dizzy, so we are just going to kill a bit of time here. Here's actually a picture of Bob. This is what a sexist looks like, folks.
Maybe we could do a quick ad read.
Great idea. This show is brought to you by Omega Swiss Luxury Men's Watches, because being on time is maybe not.
But sometimes it's not important.
You gotta be kidding me.
Well, let's cut over to the local women's sports highlights.
The boys.
It's the BOYSCAST.
The lads.
It's the BOYSCAST.
The dudes.
Prepare yourself for BOYSCAST.
The bros.
It's the BOYSCAST.
The homies.
It's the BOYSCAST.
The dudes.
Experience the BOYSCAST.
Boys cast time to take this boys cast.
Time.
Back from Australia, mate.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that in a little bit, but
Sounds like the accent got some practice.
I did not get some practice. You're saying my accent got practice?
No, the Australian accent.
Say it to my fucking face. You think I'm doing Australian over there?
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Very popular. I go, all right, how's it? No, okay, you're right. Loud and clear.
Bit English, isn't it?
So, big debacle with the trans fighter.
Oh, you don't even know the debacle.
You probably have more of a debacle because you've been in it, but it's so funny because it's either like it starts out with "It's a man, baby." It's one of those.
I don't think it's a man.
Well, I think that you might be right, but I saw the Washington Post basically is like, this is a disgrace, like men fighting in women's boxing, and I was saying that the retraction is like, we're so sorry. It was really dark. Like, dude, there's nothing worse than calling a woman a man.
Yeah, right. Well,
this is this is what it is. It's either we can't believe there's a man fighting in women's boxing, or it's oh no my god, it was so, you don't understand, you were beautiful.
Yeah.
It was dark, you're a hero. I'll kill myself.
Right. And there are a lot of mannish women at the Olympics right now. Manly looking real women.
The other thing,
shot putters and
everyone's under the microscope.
Everybody goes.
Danny, every woman that looks a little manly, they have a guy coming up being like, what's going on down there? There's a bulge.
There's a bulge.
So, okay, what happened? Why is it not even, I don't even know.
Well, the real debacle for me is that I support women's sports now.
Of course.
Because a week ago when this whole thing went down, and then I started doing some investigation, and I'm like, again, it's intersex. I'm an idiot, by the way. I just like to preface this. What I'm about to say is so stupid.
That's what I've been saying
What I'm
for
about
years.
to say is so stupid. But so then all this stuff started going down, and then everybody's like, oh, fuck it. Everybody was betting on it and being like, easy money. And then I was like, no, you know what? I'm going to take the field here. So I bet on the field against the Algerians.
Stop. Is this before people were saying she was a man?
No, this was like a week ago. She still had 3. So basically she had 3 or 4 fights left. So I'm like, I just need you to lose one of these fights. And and it was like 3-1. So I was like, that seems like a pretty good bet. She fought in the 2020 Olympics and got the shit beaten out of her by this Irish chick. Right. So I was like, and then I was like getting deep into it.
How much did you lose?
Well, she still has the gold medal fight to lose. Nothing crazy. Few hundo.
But you would have made like a couple G's.
It was like a 300 pays like 1,000.
Super funny.
Anyways, and I was like, I'm like, you know what? Yes, she's intersex and she's got, again, but then now I think about it, obviously hindsight, and she's won 3 in a row and like devastating wins too. Like they were like, I was like yesterday she was in the semifinals. I'm like on fucking the internet trying to find like a live feed. I'm on like the BBC iPlayer with a I have my VPN pulled up for England so that I can watch it. It still wouldn't let me watch it. And then like 2 seconds later, I go on Twitter and it's just like, she just fucking destroyed this Thai chick. I'm like, God damn
So
it.
what's the deal? Because
It's exactly like Castor Semenya, who is the Jamaican runner who we've spoken about before. She's intersex. So she literally...
What does that mean?
She literally has testes inside of her. So it's like, I mean...
kind of like you when the fucking wife's calling.
Kind of like me when I lose this bet. But no, it's funny because like, you know, there's a whole...
Well, you kind of have testes inside you too, inside your mouth.
It's the whole gender debate because everybody's like, there's only 2 genders or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then you're like...
This is the rare case.
She's the edge case, but then there's 2 edge cases right now in boxing.
So the edge cases are cleaning
Everybody's like, well, they're just edge cases. You're like, the edge cases
Kristen
are
and Edge.
beating the shit out of women right now. But I do believe that like she's...
edge cases are fucking rocking.
Yeah, the edge cases are cleaning the fuck up. They go, oh, it's only like a 0.0001% that they ever compete. And you're like, well, there's 2 of them going for gold right now. So... But so she does have elevated levels of testosterone. That's without question. She has way higher levels of test than any female would have.
Do you think that she didn't know this, or did she know this? Because it's one of those things where if it looks like a girl, no dick comes out, and you're like, it's a girl. Do they do tests on
I guarantee you, if you saw her naked, you'd be like, that's a woman.
That's what I mean, though. Is she just finding this out too?
So what
Where, like,
happened-
she goes to the test, and they're like, "Oh, this person was like born a man or whatever," and then she goes to the test. She goes, "As if I'm born a man." And they go, "We got news
No,
for
so
you."
she fought in like a boxing tournament. There was like this Russian boxing tournament last year that her and the other one were kicked out of, basically because they tested them and they wouldn't reveal the tests, like the results, essentially, because they're like, it's a violation of their privacy.
It's the Austin Powers test.
Basically, yeah. It's the sniff test. But basically, they tested them, and then they were like...
they hired Jim Carrey from Pet Detective.
But basically...
The Einhorn Finkel test.
Yeah. But so essentially they tested them at this boxing event last year, and they were like, essentially from the sounds of it, they said it wasn't a DNA test, so I don't know exactly what the test was. They said it wasn't a testosterone test.
A TNA test.
Yeah, it wasn't a DNA test. But they were like, they basically disqualified both of them. They allowed them to appeal at like no charge, essentially. Like, you're like, you don't even have to fund your appeal. Like, we'll cover, if you want to appeal, you can appeal. And then they both dropped out. So then the Olympics...
So they sort of knew, like, we're not going to be able to pass the appeal.
Well, the Olympics have a different standard. So they're just like, well, if your sex is female, but again, their sex is not female. They're intersex, whereas they do have an X chromosome.
So how do they check that?
The Olympics doesn't. They're just like,
Gotcha.
you've been competing as a woman. They're like, we saw you in the showers. It checks out, kind of thing. Huge clit, but other than that, I think the size of a fucking lima bean. But it's you got a baby carrot on you over there. But anyways,
That's fucking
But she does
bizarre.
for sure have. And if you watch, like, I watched her fight, but the thing I was thinking about, because obviously people are like, well, you can't have a category for intersex.
There'll be a small category.
That's an insane. I mean, there's 2 of them, but they're different weight classes. And then, like, I looked it up, and like, she's heavier than fucking Tank Davis. Like, if you know him, Javante Davis or whatever, who's like,
how much does she weigh?
She's 60. She's in the 66 kilogram class, so she's probably.
Oh, come on, British Danny.
135 pounds, 140 pounds or something. But like Tank Davis, like, if she had to fight men, like, Tank Davis would knock her head off her body, and he's like 5 inches shorter than her. Like, he would kill her.
They're sort of in the in-betweens.
They are in the legitimately, like...
Just get rid of girl sport, period. Problem solved. You got too many problems.
Hey, man, I don't know. I'm not in favor of getting rid of beach volleyball just yet.
I've seen you perving over it, slobbering almost online. You're thirsty. You seen Danny? Every second post is like fucking nice. Danny's Twitter account is just slobbering over women's volleyball.
Just love beach volleyball. No, but I mean, I haven't actually watched
Danny
one.
likey.
Hubba.
It actually was.
Yeah.
He was slobbering over it. His tongue was hitting the floor. I guess it's the only sport where they kind of look hot while they're doing it. But
Yeah, well, they wear thongs, except for
some gymnasts or
some gymnasts. Yeah, there's lots of them, to be honest. But then the first day actually of beach volleyball was cold in Paris, so then they were all wearing like fucking.
Danny's about to fly there and lick the sand.
Can I just get some sand? Is there any way I can just get a little Just a little souvenir.
You're gonna be one of those perverts. If you saw that Star Wars, basically, they did like an auction of the girl's jumpsuit, and it went for like a fucking 140 G's, and it's obviously just some fucking perv that's about to sniff her.
Oh yeah, unwashed, please.
140 G's well spent. Oh, if it was washed, I wonder if it was washed, because if it was washed, the value probably goes way down.
Way down. No sweat stains on there. Nothing. That's,
The guy was probably so pissed off if they washed it.
He goes, what? It smells like fucking detergent.
I just paid $140 for detergent.
Beat down. But anyways, she's gonna win. I'm gonna lose.
It's also the other side of it's sort of funny because they basically have to. A lot of people were sort of. When they thought it was potentially a trans person, they had to be like, this is her right, like, we're behind her. And then they're like, it's actually this woman, this intersex. You're like, oh, now I thought I was caring about a trans person, not
Well, the
women.
LGBT people are still pumped about it. Like, I was on Twitter searching her.
Because the edge cases sort of make their argument, right?
Absolutely.
This is what they've been talking about.
Yeah, this is what they've been saying. They go, there's edge cases. And then again, there is a real, like, Caster Semenya or whatever, who was the sprinter, the Jamaican sprinter.
Danny was doing edging cases when he was watching volleyball.
It was a bit of a goon case, if you will. But I mean, same deal. Like, it's like, I'm a woman. Like, I guess I have. And then they were like, we want to make you take. Basically, like, she was disqualified from all these events because they're like, you have to take medicine to lower your natural testosterone. And then the argument becomes like, hey, well, what about male athletes who are just like their testosterone's through the fucking roof just genetically?
Well, they don't have another category that they would go in after.
Well, I guess I know.
I'm just because they're obviously the thing is like if your T's this high, then you compete with men,
right?
But the men don't have a version.
But
of that
men
where
would
your
kill
T's too
her.
hard. You compete with alpha men.
Yeah, men would kill her.
The GigaChad territory.
So I don't know. Like men would kill her. Like, she wouldn't compete with men. She'd have zero chance there. Like, she would literally get her destroyed. So it's one of those weird things where you're like, okay, well,
they probably have had this before.
They
too,
have.
right?
They had it with Caster Semenya.
No, but even before that, there was back in the day. They probably had right and left, like all of women's. There's probably a lot of dominations that you don't even realize.
Sure, and I mean the Eastern Germans I think it was like in the 80s and stuff when East Germany was still Soviet, and it was like a joke. Like SNL used to make fun of them because like all the chicks looked like dudes because they were all in the lab. Well, they were all in the lab getting just shot up with whatever, like testosterone, crazy, like steroids and stuff. So like all the Eastern Germans.
It's not an enormous payoff for being that anyway.
Well, I think the country is like it's usually like the country.
The country's invested in it.
Yeah, the country's invested in it, so they're like trying to make these fucking superhuman people, and then again they test you for a million things, but this is just the edge case, I guess.
It's pretty funny though that it's like this is the one that everyone no one really knows what their stance is on it.
No, I mean, yeah, I don't know. Like, it's definitely, if you're a woman without an X chromosome,
there isn't
you probably feel it's pretty unfair.
There isn't a perfect answer where you're just like, well, you should fight with guys, and it was like, well, I don't know.
Yeah,
this doesn't have a dick.
There are several trans men in the Olympics right now, but they're competing against biological women, so they're still in their born sex class.
That's weird. What is it? Just basically like non-binary chicks kind of thing?
Basically, yeah. It's like a non-binary or like
a lesbo that shaved her head sort of thing.
Yeah, like essentially. But again, it's not unfair because they're competing against their sex.
That's a bizarre one.
This is the thing.
So where did you land on this stuff finally?
I don't really know. Like, I don't know. I mean, it's definitely, if you're fighting them, it's not fair. But again, like,
there isn't a perfect solution.
There isn't a perfect. She's been beat
because she's sort of the in between,
and she has been beat by women. Like, and she can't fight men. So you can either say you're not allowed to compete, or, I mean, I personally think it's like if you're just strictly, you are actually born that way, you didn't just make a decision, then they're like, for them to be like, you got to take all these drugs to lower your testosterone, that kind of seems unfair.
That's sort of weird too. It's just like you're giving people like be worse medication almost.
Yeah, well, literally, yeah. You're like, we have to make you worse. Like, it's the opposite of doping.
And you are like, I was born with this special ability that I'm a girl that's got like a tiny little bit of man in me.
Yeah, and I mean, also
my superpowers. I'm 1% man.
Yeah, I'm like, I got these testes up in me or whatever. So
that's like a superhero. That's like, Iron Man has this thing. The Rock. She has basically an Iron Man pouch with a couple balls in there.
Like, kinda. That's just producing some testosterone.
That's wild.
But I mean, you watch her fight, and you're like, man, she's fucking way strong. Like she.
Well,
hits
it
harder.
opened up a lot of conversations, and this is what Vox has determined: discrimination against trans Olympians has roots in Nazi Germany. So
She's not trans.
Well,
That's the thing, though. She's not trans.
I know, but they want to clump them together because if they consider that, then it helps their.
It is
case
kind
a
of funny
little.
though, because she's from Algeria, and it's illegal to be gay or trans there. So then, if she wins, she's like they all have to kind of be like, "This is sick. We want a gold medal," which they don't get a lot of.
Go to jail now.
But then they all got to be like, but kind of like she's at least gay. She's for sure gay.
Is she gay?
For sure.
I wonder. I mean, if she's not, her husband probably doesn't.
I mean, she's
love
got
this.
a fucking crew cut, Ryan.
That's. No, what I'm saying though, imagine you had your husband though that was like, this is your girlfriend, and it was a national scandal that your girlfriend's fucking born a man.
Yeah.
Couldn't be fun.
No.
Well, I just always love when there's like the argument always goes back to the Nazis also thought what you think.
Sure.
You know who else? Like hear that, J.K. Rowling?
Yeah.
Guess what, J.K. Rowling? You wrote some books. You know who else wrote a book? I think a little someone by the name of
Adolf
Himmler. Himmler wrote a book, less popular book.
Less popular book, yeah. That's probably
The answer found in historian and journalist Michael Waters' The Other Olympians: Fascism, Queerness, and the Making of Modern Sports. Someone probably got a lot of money from their university to do that study. Mm-hmm. The answers found in historians' books: the Nazi era has substantially shaped the conversation surrounding trans athletes today. It's also whenever they do that, they're always tacitly implying that it was Jews.
Yeah.
They're just like, you know who else hated people that didn't like, there were people that were promoting trans idea, you know?
Yeah. Sure.
Serena Williams also had another fucking little dust up at the Olympics in the last one.
Hey, man, you know what is people underestimate, I think even big time athletes, like unless you're like Michael Jordan or something, you go, hey, man, people just stop caring as much about you when you retire. Like when you're not actually competing, like regardless, you take a step down.
Basically she got denied entry
she just
to
couldn't
this
get into a restaurant.
She couldn't get into a restaurant, and she took to social media to be like, everyone who works there should be killed, essentially,
yeah.
It's very, very much like
because this is
out of control behavior.
Well, I mean, one of the, as we all know, one of the benefits of having a Twitter that has any sort of following is you can complain about stuff.
You definitely can complain about
getting
stuff,
wronged by airlines.
And people do get on your thing. However, just being denied from a restaurant, there is two parts of this. I still think it's like insane behavior. If we got denied from a restaurant and someone was going to make a big stink that I knew, like a girl I knew that was famous was like, I got denied from this restaurant, they're going to pay for that. I'd be like, calm down.
Yeah, relax. Let's go to a different restaurant.
Stop it, right? But if I was the restaurant and Serena Williams shows up and she was like at the Olympics, in the Olympic city that it's happening in, and she wants to get in, you do not want that press just on the odd case. I think if you're a restaurant owner, you have to be like, well, give us a second, and you're like, I'll give you guys $1,000 to leave.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean?
Well,
you pick a table and you're like, I'll give you guys $1,000 to wrap up in the next 4 minutes.
Right. Yeah,
like you just don't want the smoke, especially if she's looking at her watch being like, unless you like,
I mean, even if you make her wait 5 minutes, she's like, I was made to wait 5 minutes.
it does seem like they're like, I'm famous. I should never have to wait for anything ever as long as I live.
I believe she is an Olympian. She's like the greatest female athlete probably ever. She's just kind of.
I get the idea that if Wayne Gretzky shows up, but it's like if the thing is, if some of these places they have like 20 tables, and if they're full, they're full. Yeah, and if you didn't come, everyone knows like, okay, if musicians that are touring and like famous comedians, probably more of a musician thing, but like when you want to go to a place, the guy who's like your tour manager, or whatever, calls the place like an hour beforehand being like, we're coming in, get us a table.
Yeah, exactly.
That's like a pretty standard procedure.
Not showing up with
and then she's like, I don't need to call no one. I should walk in any place, anytime. And they should just basically take the people and catapult them out.
Yeah, and 10 years ago, maybe that would have worked.
And apparently they said, the restaurant said that she got community noted on her thing because she was like, they would not let me in. The community notes on Twitter was like, the restaurant actually just had their tables full.
Yeah, they just said they were full.
And they said she could sit on the patio. And she goes, me? The patio?
No, she's too high profile to sit on a patio. Well, at least she thinks she is.
It is. A lot of these people are used to just like being doted over 24/7.
Yeah, I mean, you're never told no, and then the first time you told no, it's just like crazy.
Someone should die for this.
Yeah,
you think they basically get to this level of fame where they think they should be treated like a medieval queen.
Basically, yeah.
Off with her head.
And
anyone that said no to me ever about anything.
Yeah, I mean, you see that I think a lot with like female actresses and stuff when they start getting a little older, and then people are maybe a little less relevant.
Ooh.
You know, like Meg Ryan doesn't get into a restaurant. She's like, I'm Meg Ryan. You're like, you haven't been in anything in fucking 20 years, okay?
Exactly. So I saw that. I know you didn't talk a ton about the white dudes for Harris stuff.
No, we didn't get to the white dudes.
But me and Danny have decided that we'll be starting Alpha GigaChads for Harris.
Yep.
Because they've done the white dudes for Harris, but what they didn't do
is the
was just a fucking Zoom call of just Alpha Bros for Harris. They wanted to do it, but they haven't been able to find a ton.
No, just everybody just dipping and
just a bunch of guys being like, no days off when you're supporting. This is a 24/7. All the other people supporting Harris are fucking sleeping while we're working.
Yeah, you got to get her elected.
You want to take extreme ownership of that Kamala vote. Getting game.
The white dudes figured out a thing that they're allowed to be for.
Oh, well, some people didn't like that. Some people did like it.
Yeah, white dudes for Trump, I imagine, is going to be received a little less swell.
White dudes for Trump would get fucking crushed, man.
They did that. It was called Charlottesville, okay? They had that.
White dudes for Harris. That would be like one of those things. If you, I don't think I know anyone that would be a white dude for Harris, but
I hope not.
I guess I know some comedians.
I mean, we know comedians for sure.
They did the comedy for Harris thing that the stand-up New York guys did.
Yeah. So there's a lot of like A-list comedians who are
definitely
for sure.
That was the who's who of Hollywood.
Yeah, and there's a lot of C-list actors who are white dudes for Trump.
Well, they said white men attempt rare, non-threatening gathering of Kamala Harris. In the course of human history, politically oriented gatherings of white people have not typically been a sign of fun. When you see a bunch of white people gathering, all you know is someone gonna get hurt real bad.
I mean, there's a lot of self-flagellation going on.
Bad things are gonna happen when white people get to. You know how crazy of an article that is? To be like, anytime you see a group of white people, everyone knows when you're walking down the street and you see a bunch of white people, you're like, run for the hills. It's like fucking world these people are living in.
Yeah, man, they live in a different world, but they're feeling good.
If I see three finance bros when I'm walking down Lower Manhattan, it's just like you all hide in the sewer, whatever you need to do. You go in a coffee shop. Call the cops. Grab your purse, call the cops.
Yeah, it's bad news. Always.
Something bad's about to happen.
Yeah, I mean, the white dudes for Kamala Harris is, I mean, it's the same people who you thought it was. Was Rob Reiner there?
I think it was like...
Does he get the call?
I don't know if there was a ton of famous people, and I think...
Rappaport must be bummed, huh? He goes, fuck, I would have been like one of the main ones.
He would have been a huge white dude for Harris, but he can't.
Like 4 years ago.
I saw him on an interview talking about whether he was going to vote for Kamala Harris, and he was having like a mental breakdown, basically, because he was just like, you think I fucking would love to, but it's like, she's just not really down with Netanyahu to the point
her husband's Jewish. That's something.
I was doing something for him. I think he's toiling over the idea.
Yeah, he's going to do the opposite. He's going to be the guy who's like, I'm voting for Trump. And then
I think when Trump told him that when Trump said that Biden administration is secretly Palestinian, I think that really fucking got in Rappaport's head.
Yeah, well, but I mean, it's so funny because they're like, all the people on the left call Joe Biden Genocide Joe. Like everyone was calling him Genocide Joe forever.
Right.
So you're like, I don't know.
Seeing a bunch of white guys on a mission can be unsettling. Writing this article is something else, man.
Oh yeah, very unsettling. Like the time that they killed Osama bin Laden. that mission.
It was unsettling. It's very unsettling.
For Osama bin Laden, it was.
If you see white dudes do anything, even if you see the guy stocking shelves, one's fine. If I see two white guys stocking shelves, I go, what the fuck is about to happen to me? I'm about to turn into a shelf.
That's why I don't watch hockey anymore.
Democratic organizer Rick Morales decided something needed to be done to activate white white dudes for the sake of progressive politics. I just thought this was funny where it said, what we've been trying to do is engage a group of people whom the left has largely ignored. And it was like, went on, but it was just funny that like openly admitting, like, obviously we've ignored this group completely and they're bad, but like you should get involved. And you're just like, why?
Hey, man.
But you're like, we haven't changed any of that, but like you just...
Yeah, we still think you're bad, but we need you.
Trust me, you think we're bad? Even being in this group, we're going to get some flack.
Sure.
But like,
and if... Yeah.
For some reason, you should be about this.
And if she wins, you're still going to be bad.
Yeah, this ain't helping.
You're not getting any points. Like, if she wins, it's not going to be like, hey, we're going to go back. We're going to just be done with all that white guys are bad thing. You're like, no, white guys are going to be worse. Under Kamala Harris.
The feminist TikToker tricking men into handing their phones over so she can add them on Instagram, but she's actually signing them up for the Kamala Harris emails. Boom.
There you go.
I'll tell you what. It is funny when you see what it looks like when they turned the taps off on Joe.
Yeah.
Like the media taps. And then when they turn them back on, because the taps were turned off and it was a drought. He was dry. He was in the Sahara Desert. Man.
I mean,
he wasn't even getting a drip of fucking water from these
turned
media
on
people.
him. They didn't even.
And then when the taps get turned on, my friend, we're talking fire hoses. We're talking sprinklers. They were taking dump trucks over there and dumping water. The taps were officially on in a way that I've never seen before in my life, man.
Hey, man.
Full sprinkler system, fire houses.
Joe Biden, the legend.
I would love. Man, it must be actually nice,
What
though.
he's up to.
What Joe's up to right now? I mean, being the president, I guess.
I guess.
What does that look like?
I don't.
What does that look like?
I mean, they get the odd photo op of him, and then I like that right now on like online. There's like all these things of people being like, "I bought this super realistic latex mask," and then that you just like for like $300 and you put it over and you just look like a different person, and then all these people are like, "That's what Joe Biden."
Oh, sure, yeah.
That's what they're doing with Joe Biden.
I'm telling you, man. I would love just to have a day. I mean, I guess the one problem with it when the news comes at you and they love you, you know, it's a countdown to when they switch on you sometimes.
Sure.
Except for someone like Obama. I think he's been in the pocket with the taps on forever.
No, they're
Obama could take a shit in the fucking in Congress and the articles would be like, why shitting in Congress is actually amazing, right?
Yeah.
But if you had like a day where just the media was just like, this guy's fucking packing heat, you know what I mean? He's never not pleasured a woman. You know, it would be nice to have that kind of heat on you for a second.
Oh, I mean, Kamala's gonna have it nonstop.
I've never seen.
I'm telling you, the CNN, like the MSNBCs, their whole thing just changed completely. Their mood. When Biden, they were like, we're so fucked, and then Kamala Harris came along.
I know, we haven't really talked about. I haven't really talked to you that much about this stuff since it's happened other than group chats here and there.
Yeah.
But they are fucking full blast in a way that is like,
and I mean, the polling numbers are like, I've
seen it working with regular people, man. And I'll tell you what, whenever you see I've always kind of even been saying this forever, like whenever a movement is winning, they start kicking people out.
Yeah.
And when they're losing, they start talking about what they need to do to bring everyone together. And I've watched even like sides of the internet being like, hey guys, come on, we need to stop saying this and start saying like teamwork.
Right. Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah,
and you're just like,
much.
That's what people do when they feel like they're losing.
The Harris Waltz campaign, they dropped those camo hats last night that I'm like, if I see someone wearing
What did they do?
They're because she announced her vice president.
I know, I watched this speech.
Tim Waltz, and then they're like, their new merch is Harris Walls camo hats because they're trying to get like the
America vote.
The America vote, right? Because he's like, I have guns. He's like, I just want common sense gun control.
Well, Trump's
like, I like to hunt.
Dude, I watched this guy
Here's the hat.
do his speech.
That's the hat. But they dropped it, and everybody's like, this hat's fucking fire. This hat's gonna fucking... All the fucking hype beasts are gonna win in the election. But I mean,
White dudes for Harris must be fucking
dude, unpredicted right now, which is, generally one of the better prediction sites, has Kamala Harris up 10 cents.
I have her up in my own personal polls.
She's
too.
up for sure, yeah.
Just in my own personal, I'm telling you, girls are fucking. I said that it's like they're kryptonite, man.
Yeah, man.
They basically every person. I mean, obviously this is all people, but they've convinced people to have a full-time job, like supporting people for free. Like, you know what I mean?
Yep. I mean, they want their abortion.
And then Trump's just, I mean, as usual, getting bullied. I was even thinking, I watched the speech where he did the black conference or whatever.
He needs to get shot again.
He needs to get shot a bunch more times if he wants any of that clout again. But basically, they go to him and they go, it's funny because they go, you know, what are you going to do for black jobs? And he's like, oh, for black jobs? And they go, what's a black job?
Right.
It's like it's
was very,
it's literally hold that for a second and they go, why the fuck are you holding that? Like he's getting like old school high school bullied.
Sure. I mean, again, I guess he's in a tight spot because he has to show up. The only thing that could save him is if he has like an insane debate against Harris where he just like wipes the floor.
I mean, yeah, a lot could change. I mean, the steam could go on this, but it was interesting watching the VP speech because he was trying to do a wrestling thing. Like he was kind of doing what Trump does. And he was like, he was taking these big speeches. You know how Bill Maher, like we kind of say it's like the best of Twitter that week, essentially jokes?
Yeah.
This guy was doing like the best of like the TikTok meme campaigns.
Yeah, they're trying to really hit the Gen Zs.
Yeah, and he was kind of, and apparently a lot of people say that they picked him because the Jewish guy was out.
Yeah, because the Jewish guy was a little too Jewish.
Yeah, exactly, which I guess that does happen, you know?
Yeah, I mean, he served in he volunteered for the IDF when he was like 20.
I think he was probably...
I mean, even CNN was like, seems like...
He probably went into the first meeting and he was like, and am I going to get a schmeckle of that media? And they go, we need to have a talk here. This is not going to fly.
I mean, there's also this thing where he possibly covered up a murder, so that probably wasn't good.
Well, it's funny because his whole thing, and he goes, I just want to say something. This is a thought that I had. That JD Vance guy is weird.
Yeah.
He goes, thank you. And everyone cheers.
Everybody's like, weird.
He walks around doing...
Calm down. Weird.
He walks around doing the ear thing. Yeah. Dude, he had them. These guys were all... Boys, we're going to take a little break here to tell you about MeUndies. You've probably heard about them already, but for most of the year, fancy underwear technology sounds unnecessary. Breathable, quick-dry, moisture-wicking, anti-odor overkill. But then the summer hits. Suddenly, streaming beads of sweat are forming slimy pools in places they shouldn't. Suddenly, breathable, quick-dry, moisture-wicking, anti-odor is sounding pretty damn essential. When the summer's here... The summer comes at you fast, and you need to be prepared to be like me with MeUndies. And MeUndies has something for every guy this summer. They got micro-modal fabric, and it's breathable and comfortable. Now, a lot of science mumbo-jumbo might be going over your heads, but all you need to know is try it out, and this is what you're going to want. So it has a style for everybody. MeUndies has got a cut for every guy's butt. Over 10 different styles, ranging from boxer briefs, jock straps, to the special pouch underwear called the ball caddy. These cuts come in 100 different colors and prints ranging from black all over to dinosaurs. We got unmatched comfort over here. MeUndies signature super soft microdal fabric. If it's breathable and stretchy, oh so comfy, making it the ideal all-day wear. If you need something even more breathable for summer-proof, check out the MeUndies line with breathable fabric, which is moisture-wicking, anti-odor technology, perfect for working out, just keeping you cool in those summer sweltering days. This is responsibly sourced. They got problem-free philosophy. Not happy with your first pair of undies? Well, it's on MeUndies. Summer is here. Be prepared with MeUndies. Get 20% off your first order plus free shipping when you go to MeUndies.com/boyscast. That is MeUndies.com/boyscast for 20% off plus free shipping. MeUndies, comfort from the outside in. Boys, have you ever tried to break a bad habit and felt like you're climbing Mount Everest in flip-flops? Yeah, we've all been there. But we got a breath of fresh air for you, and that is Fume. It's not about giving up, it's about switching up. Fume takes your habit and simply makes it better, healthier, a whole lot more enjoyable. Some of you have probably... I talk to so many people all the time that are always in the process of quitting. And I know multiple people that Fume has been actually the solution.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So Fume's an innovative, award-winning flavored air device that does just that. Instead of vapor, Fume uses flavored air. Instead of electronics, Fume is completely natural. Instead of harmful chemicals, Fume uses delicious flavors. So you get it? Instead of bad, Fume is good. It's a habit that you're free to enjoy. Makes replacing your bad habit easy. So your Fume has an adjustable airflow dial. It's designed with movable parts and magnets for fidgeting, giving your fingers a lot to do, which is helpful for de-stressing and anxiety while you're breaking your habit. I'm big on using that when I'm editing. I've already told you, it tastes great, and they have lots of different cores that you can put in them so you can change up the taste. The feel is cool. It's well weighted, perfectly balanced, extremely fun to fidget with. The look is beautiful, real wood, and you feel pretty cool using it. So Fume has just released the magnetic stand for your Fume. No more losing it around the house because it's built with fidgeting in mind. You can spin your Fume around on it, start the year right, with the good habit by going to tryfume.com/boyscast, getting the journey pack today. Fume is giving the listeners of the show 10% off when you use our code BOYSCAST to help make starting the good habit that much easier with the code BOYSCAST at 10% off. It's wrong. I'll tell you, there's an interesting about the weird thing. Well, two parts. First of all, every politician's weird. These are people, dude, they choose their politicians almost, I would say not every single one, but 90% of them, they pick their personality based on focus groups.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
yeah, that's weird.
And their platforms.
You go, what do I think on this? I'm gonna imagine any normal person goes, what do I think about this? And then you bring in 20 people and you go, hey, do I like Mexican food or do I not like Mexican food? They go, polling shows they like it when you like Mexican food. You go, I'm a Mexican. Like,
I like a nice queso.
Any person,
with my chips.
Yeah, exactly. Any person who chooses the things that they think based on a group of people telling them which makes them more likable is going to be a little weird.
Yeah, I mean, White Dudes for Harris is straight up just like, what does she like?
Oh, yeah.
She likes that?
Oh, we like that,
She
too.
likes baseball? Then I guess I like baseball.
I love baseball.
I love baseball.
Exactly. I did watch one JD Vance interview, and he was swearing a lot, and that was a little weird.
Oh, with the Nuck Boys?
Yeah, he was like after the first, he said shit like 4 times, and I remember being like, this guy's saying shit a lot. And, he said, and then I was noticing it, and then he said like 9 more times. He was like, fucking, I don't even give a shit. Like those people, what the shit? Like he just kept saying shit, and I did notice that he was saying shit a lot.
All right.
So he does. I was like, I just did notice how much he was
shit
saying
has become more acceptable, though. They say shit on CNN now.
I guess so. But
I heard them the other day.
I'll tell you,
they use the term shit test.
It
on
just
CNN.
struck me. I wasn't going in to hate him. Like, I don't give a shit, right? And then I just noticed that he was saying that a lot, which it just struck me as like maybe on purpose.
Yeah.
Where you're like, yo, swearing is sick. People love swearing.
That's the polling. The Nelk Boys audience, they love it when you drop an S-bomb occasionally. That's what they like.
And his producers on the side being like, enough S-bombs.
Too many.
But the one thing I think people, it's almost like a good thing where you go, if you kind of remove the party politics part of it and you're just like, their whole thing is being like Republicans are weird, you go, that marks officially the end of calling everyone a Nazi era.
Yeah, that's the new Nazi. Well,
right.
we'll be getting a Vox article being like, why weird is the new Nazi.
That's true. They're going to combine them?
Yeah, they're combining them. Like, they're just going to be like, weirds is just a synonym for Nazi now, in case you didn't realize.
Well, I think they realized that being fun works a little better than scolding.
Yeah.
But again, yeah, it's like, this is obviously geared towards like women.
It is funny because I talk to like people on the call-in shows.
Like even
stuff.
White Dudes for Harris. They're doing two. Like they're like White Dudes for Harris, and then the other thing is like that guy is fucking weird, and you're just like,
yeah,
those
like
are
14-year-old girls.
For girls, yeah,
it's for girls.
Branding for girls.
But girls vote. That's the thing.
Girls do vote. They
Dude,
love
like
voting.
I
It's
like
their favorite thing.
on the call-in shows and stuff, and talking to people, they'll be like, "Yeah, I'm like some guy who like came into I was talking to, who's like a pretty like hood dude or whatever, and he's like loves Trump, and you're like, and then all these people are like, yeah, that's like so. It's kind of like switching in that sense, but I'm like, I don't know if those people are actually going to go vote.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, but like, so it's like there is like this shift, but I don't know if the shift's enough. Like a lot of people are like, well,
girls do love voting.
Chicks love voting, especially when you threaten them with these fake things like taking away their abortions.
Exactly.
Like, I don't think Kamala Harris has any policy where she's like, we're bringing abortions back. Like, she's not going to undo them getting rid of Roe v. Wade.
Know what got in their heads? And this is market research of like actual women.
Yeah.
That are, that would be this person. Their ideas, like they really did the Project 2025 stuff really did get in their heads where and then you go, Trump's like, okay, he doesn't want that stuff. And they're just like, he does.
He does.
Like it got in their head that like.
That's politics, is you just ascribe these things to your opponent.
Right. But also this might be biased people that are like, they're post-rationalizing why, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh. I mean, my wife's like she has like a cousin, and her cousin was like, I'm voting for Harris, like over the abortion thing. She's like,
they
have daughters, and they're like, yeah, they're like, you're like, you live in New York, nobody's taking your abortion.
I know, it's crazy.
Like, it's one of those things where you're like, nobody's taking your abortions ever. They're not going anywhere, and they're like, no, they want to make abortions illegal in the whole country. You're like, no, they don't.
In my opinion,
and I don't think she's going to undo the Roe v. Wade thing.
Well, but there's two sides. There's sort of like two Republicans, right? Like we said this before, but there's like the sort of the tech crypto version, which is free speech, figure the budget out, blah, 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 right?
Yeah.
And then there's a sort of socially conservative Republicans that's more like their big things are like abortion, Christianity, ban porn, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it was like that kind of stuff. When it started having like a big influence, it was like, yeah, I could see that people weren't going to be on board with that.
No, people don't. That's
just
always
unpopular.
Yeah, that's always been like just.
And I think people realize free speech is up for grabs. You know what I mean? It's like free speech is the one thing where it's like you can switch and be like, we're the free speech people now. You know what I mean? And then all it takes is like,
well, you can always point to examples of like, I mean, you know, if you point to the Project 2025 thing or whatever, like lots of things where you go, well, I mean, they were saying they're the free speech, but look at all these things they've done recently that are like kind of anti-free speech or whatever. And so, yeah.
Well, that's because the social conservatives are really, really bad at coming up with things that people like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they just sort of like they usually come up with like I feel like social conservatives usually be like, oh, we'll take the left stuff and then we'll do our version of it. But it's just like what they don't realize. You're like, it wasn't working all that good for them.
No. Do you think the Republicans should kind of amp it up and be like, straight up, they're gonna chop your kids' dicks off? Like that's what they should go. Like just go really hard, being like into that.
I don't know.
Go look. If you have a kid that has a penis and you vote for Kamala Harris, that thing is gonzo.
This is if I was okay. So if I was on their campaign and being like, what you guys need to do a little bit. I think it's a hard one because all of the people, like I've said, there's so many like social conservative influencers that have these enormous voices that they can point to, just the way that when super like crazy fucking, you know, progressive people saying all the crazy stuff, you could point to them. So there's like a lot of, if you were, you know, liberal TikTok or whatever, there's a lot of people saying, you know, I actually don't think that there should be ever abortions, right? There's a lot of that they can sort of point to.
Yeah.
So the idea that you're sort of saying like, turn that up where you're just like you're essentially turning up the fear mongering.
Yeah.
I don't know if the fear mongering is like,
so yeah, because the Republicans are big on the border stuff, but like I don't really know if people in liberal states, like obviously people in the like, you know, the Arizonas and the Texas, they care about the border, but like Trump's going to win those states anyways. And a lot of the other states, like people in Washington or whatever, or like, you know, middle America, like I don't think they care about the migrants that much. Like that's not their top decision
because it's not affecting them as much.
Doesn't affect them as much. They see it on the news and they're like, yeah, I don't care that much about the migrant thing. A lot of people are like inflation and abortions.
You know, I think that probably it's one of those things where, okay, if you look at things like a month ago, right, and you're just like, everyone on the right's like, we got this locked up, right? And then now everyone's kind of like, they got locked up. Like things change very quickly. I think one thing that you do is, and I kind of think about this with media sometimes, where it's like a lot of times there's stuff happening in the world where I'm just like, oh, I'm probably like one of the best voices to talk about this. And then there's certain times where something happens where I'm like, a lot of times, here be an example, like the guy with the balls who jumped over the thing and his balls hit the thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's very funny. Yeah. But that is the pole vaulter. In my opinion, that's like something where the Tank Sinatra's Che's really good at that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like, that's not really like, I'm not the best person in the world to like make those jokes. Sure. You know what I mean? It's just maybe a little too like meme culture for me, right? So sometimes you just have to like wait. Sometimes there is no move to make, and you're just like, well, see what it looks like in 2 weeks and see if there's maybe a better play. Yeah. So that's the only advice.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, also Trump they are sentencing him for his crimes, his felonies.
Oh man, world's fucking weird right now.
I think September he was trying to get that pushed off to after the election, but they're not doing it. So who knows what happens there?
It also could.
Maybe he's just like September 15th is just like reporting for jail. Like, I don't know.
Imagine.
I don't know.
Well, there is so much of that stuff, though, that is like the White Dudes for Harris kind of stuff where enough of that stuff. It's basically, it almost becomes like you're, for some people, they're choosing between like two chicks and they're like, which one grosses me out least? So it's like, you know what I mean? It's kind of like a race for who can do the least gross stuff to some people.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean,
What do you
he's
think?
well, yeah. Who can, and also Republicans like
And gross, I mean, like, seems like aggressive stuff that they don't like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where it's like, I don't want to see more of this bullshit.
for sure. Trump totally is. He's lost all his narratives too, like the being like convicted by his opponent kind of thing, like political opponent, and being like all that stuff. The lawfare, like nobody's talking about it. That was like one of his big things. Is he's like they're coming after me because I'm like the opponent. Like that story's gone. The assassination's gone. All he has now is like, oh, she used to be Indian, she's black now though.
Yeah.
Like that's like his like main thing is, and I'm like, okay. I mean, well,
that
as
wasn't his main thing. I think he
well,
just said
that's
that
what he's been
once.
going on a lot recently. But as someone who like works in entertainment, you're like, yeah, seen that a bunch of times.
I was thinking that too. I was just like,
Oh, you don't say. Someone changed their race to benefit
white dudes
from the culture. You don't say.
Whenever you start seeing the white guys being like, I'm actually 125th Cherokee, so I'm gonna fucking.
Sure.
Speaking of which, I'm a Cherokee man myself. Well, they do have that thing where, I guess, because I agree with you that you've seen that a ton, and it was like everyone knows what's going on here, but also
Yeah.
the game's the game. They think
Game's the game.
But then the other part is like they also do it when they're sort of looking at him being like, can you believe he said this? There is also that other part of it where you're just like, these people can't decide whether race is like a real sensitive topic that you should never talk about, or the only thing you should ever talk about ever.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I mean, again, I guess he has a point. I think it's just like that's the thing to focus on is probably not that. But I don't even know. I don't even know what the thing for him to focus on right now is. If he wants to turn this around.
Well, I'm going to tell you.
Because he goes, oh, the border, and they go, well, they're like, yeah, well, we're going to fix that. They keep saying like, yeah, well, we'll fix that.
They
too.
sort of steal the
He
thing.
goes, I'm going to fix the border. He goes, yeah, well, we're going to do that too.
That's why I'm saying that if you were like on his campaign, I think you would be like, we wait for a second. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just
she
like,
doesn't even take fucking. She doesn't do any press shit. Like she doesn't do any press stuff.
oh, that's what I'm saying though.
So you don't even have her really like any gotchas on her because they're like
they really do
they're-
keep their
they're-
candidates in the fucking
keep her in the
dungeon.
basement. Yeah, she's in the basement too.
Well, she was sort of clapping behind the wrestling speech.
Yeah, she was clapping, but
I'll tell you, when we're talking about weirds though, right?
Yeah.
So again, a lot of these politicians are weird because they, like I said, they choose their personalities based
Sure.
on focus groups, which is weird.
for just power.
And I'll tell you, but Hollywood guys are probably weirder for that. But I'd have found a good Will Smith clip that I'm going to show you of the weirdest shit that I've ever seen in my life. You want to talk about a guy that's weird? This is what Jada did to him. So he's watching a joke,
Yeah.
and just take a peek at this laugh.
It doesn't really make sense. I have more Grammys than Will Smith, which makes no sense.
He's not sure whether he likes it yet.
But I have the same amount of BET awards as Sam Smith.
This is not a human being.
No.
I'm going to watch it. We're going to get a second round on that
He-
laugh.
he has,
Listen to this. That's something
He
else.
kind of
man.
reminds me of like
Ha ha!
reminds me of like a special needs kind of like kid watching like a Disney movie or something.
That.
Ha
Ha ha ha! That's something else, man. If that guy was at a comedy show, you'd be pointing out that laugh.
He's on a lot of meds, I would guess.
That's something else, man.
Meds.
It's like he almost laughed, and then he realized maybe the camera's on him. He's like, right, really laugh. You know, you like this joke. And I think at first he was like not sure if he should be laughing because is this making fun of him?
Right.
And then he was like, it's not making fun of me. He's like, really get a fucking chuckle out here now.
Finally, someone's coming to bat for me, I think. I think this is good.
Make sure you're a fun guy, Will. You're a fun guy. Let them know how fun you are. And then I'll tell you what else. This isn't actually me, but the Instagram algorithm is sending people this. Hold on. Someone that I'm not going to air them out because then it'll be say their Instagram's freaky.
Okay.
Sending them milk shoes.
Milk shoes.
I mean, there's in the Instagram advertising
So it's chair,
shoes.
So it's chair, JJ.
So it's shoes, and then you put milk in them, and you walk around in shoes
You
with
walk
milk
around
in them.
them, or it's like a spa treatment kind of thing where you just soak your feet in milk.
Would you ever do this? You put your feet in milk?
I'd have to try it.
So there's shoes that you pour milk in, and then you soak your feet.
Don't
in
knock
them.
it till you try it. Maybe that's like the new because that's an Asian thing for sure.
Well, of course, it's
And
an Asian
Asians
thing.
are sometimes pretty far ahead of stuff. Like we're just
I
walking around with
know.
no milk in our shoes, like fucking idiots.
morons.
Well, they're like, look at our milky ass feet after you've been on our feet all day.
Asians are cooking around, and they know that actually the feet has the milk, and the milk goes into the rest of the body. And that's how
Yeah,
you
like
fucking
maybe
put
they're at
years
the
off your life.
they're like at the Foxconn plant putting iPhones together all day on their feet all day, and they're like, I come home and I'm like, it doesn't feel like I worked at all.
Yeah, you're like, oh, how's it like in a sweatshop? You're like, I don't know, I have milk shoes.
Yeah, I have milk shoes. No idea. No idea, because we invented milk shoes, you fucking retarded Westerners.
There might be something to milk shoes.
Unless it's a sexual thing.
It feels like
It feels sexual, but
milk shoes definitely
it might
feels
be
like
a
for
practical
freak,
thing.
dude.
It's like if you ever go to Thailand or whatever, you can go places and they'll do like spa treatments and stuff, like massages, and then they have these little fish, and you literally put your feet in a fish tank,
Yeah,
and then
that's
the
weird,
little
too.
fish just eat off the dead skin off your
Bizarre
feet.
shit.
Yeah, but I mean,
they're up to wacky shit over there.
and then you eat the fish.
Another weird thing. Just on the topic of things that are weird.
Republicans are weird. They want you wearing milk shoes.
JD Vance wants you to wear a shoe full of milk. It's funny because they're saying JD Vance fucks his couch. It's like, yes, but a lot of people actually are like, I'm in a relationship with a
couch.
tower.
Yeah.
Like, how many articles have
I'm
we
married
read?
to a golf club.
How many articles that have we read where
know.
it's like someone that's like, I'm fucking engaged to a pebble.
Yeah. But also, he didn't even. It's not. But the problem is like it is a good strategy because then it is fake. But then just to have to be defending yourself against that, being like, I didn't fuck a couch. I never did that, and then you just seem crazy.
There's a lot of things like that where it's defending it, you're already in trouble. That's
Yeah.
what Drake got into trouble, man. You can't defend yourself.
You can't defend yourself. And I mean, the stuff against like Kamala Harris is they're like, yeah, they don't even really have that much stuff. They're like the borders.
It really
are.
is bullying though, where they're just like, you fucked a couch, like in high school, all the hot girls being like, you fucked a couch.
This guy
Like,
fucked a couch. It's like technically, I fucked the glove that was in between the couch, but
I'm sure a lot of dudes have taken a couch for a spin. That was Louis had a famous thing on Howard Stern once when he went on Howard Stern. He was talking about he talked about fucking a couch, and then Howard Stern was grilling him on it, being like, "So what? You just fucking fucked a couch?" And he was like, "I was kind of kidding." And Howard Stern was like, "What is this?"
yeah, it's a tough one to come back from.
On the topic of weird, U.S. State Department accidentally gives $239 million to the Taliban since disaster in Afghanistan withdrawal.
Whoops.
Oopsies.
Oops.
I actually
rounding error.
I actually understand that because I accidentally put 10K on Harvey Weinstein's commissary. Fucking big whoopsie.
Yeah, I was just trying to do a hundo and
It was just so funny that this is the kind of thing where it's like 3 mils just getting, ooh, I actually fucking.
$39 million just accidentally sent to the Taliban of all places.
Yes.
Yeah.
RFK has been in some. You want to talk? They're talking about weird politicians, and I actually like RFK, but man, that guy has been in some fucking.
I mean, the memes on this one are some of the funniest.
Well, he just keeps like admitting weird things. Well, this one
he had to.
He had to.
Because I'm curious how the
I
New
listened to
Yorker.
his explanation. So basically, his explanation is he goes, someone killed a bear in New York in their car, and then I was like, we can't let a good bear go to waste. So I put the bear
'cause
in
he
my
wanted to
trunk,
skin it and then eat the
and then
meat.
he's like, well, I'll skin the bear, eat the meat, and taxidermy the bear. So he's bringing a dead bear into his trunk in New York.
Yep.
Then he goes to a party. The party goes too late. He ends up having to take a flight. So he's like, I couldn't do anything with the bear. I didn't have time. And all my friends were like, because cyclists keep killing people in New York and it's this big thing, wouldn't it be funny if we took the bear and then put the bear outside of Central Park on the bike path with a bike there and it looked like it got killed? And then it became the biggest story in New York.
Yeah, dude, there's
of what's
so-
going
I've
on.
seen
Then they
so-
fingerprinted the bike and he was like, oh, my fingerprints are all over this bike. And it was just like, if this, you may be telling the truth, but like, this is not a great story.
No, I mean, I can't imagine he's lying about this, but yeah, like literally people started posting all the local news from that day. And it was all
Hilarious.
all like interviewing people in Central Park about this crime scene, like it's all taped off, and people are like, "Yeah."
I mean, that's hilarious if your friend did that. Yeah.
yeah, for sure. And everybody's like, well, he never thought it was going to blow up like this, but also Central Park. Like,
That must have been in his back end of his head, like this bear scandal is gonna fucking come hit me.
Probably, but also, I mean, he's just polling so low right now, so it doesn't really
Obviously,
matter. But it's funny because he wants to be like everybody's like, Trump's going to make him the head of the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, and you're like, this guy's ditching bears in Central Park.
Well, he's had a lot of funny ones because he's like, I got worms in my brains. I'm putting bears everywhere. His voice is already weird. He's got a lot of funny things. Kind of makes me like him more. This bear story did endear.
The bear funny story
I actually did
hilarious.
sort of like, because you're like, oh, he's like a prankster.
Yeah, he's a prankster. Because you would think
in another life he could have been a YouTube prank guy.
Central Park area. I mean, between here, like, I don't know. There's other places. I mean, I can't imagine like you would be. He must have done it like 4 a.m, right? Because you'd be worried like.
Someone's going to see you doing this bear business. Yeah, it's not.
And he's like somewhat known. He's not like the most famous guy in the world.
Yeah, because you're still a Kennedy. You're still
a Kennedy just dumping a bear in dead bear.
I mean, also, how did you not see him the first time when he took the bear off the road and put it in the car?
Well, that was up in like Westchester. He was like up in like kind of like the sticks kind of thing. So he found a bear on the. But yeah, like the interviews of the people, they're like, yeah, it's like, you see dogs and stuff here.
Politics is so insane right now, man.
Hey, man.
It really is a wild ass time for politics.
Yeah. I wonder how the New Yorker found out about it. One of his friends must have ratted him out. Like he probably had. You
don't think it was the fingerprint business?
Well, it was 10 years ago.
No, at the time they fingerprinted it.
But that's what I'm saying. But it happened 10 years ago. But apparently he put out this thing with Roseanne because
I know
New Yorker's about to write an article about it.
That's why I said New Yorker commented, and they're like, you know what probably happened? And he was like, hey, we need to comment on this bear story, and he turned around and he goes, what took you so long?
Yeah,
he goes, thought you fucking never asked.
He turns around, he's got like the fucking bear thing on his head. What took you so long?
I want my bear back. What took you so long? He definitely got away with the bear thing for 10 years, which isn't bad.
Not bad. He probably thought for a while he was scot-free. But also when you start running for president,
you're like, there's no way
like, the bears thing's coming.
He almost...
bear thing's going to be... kind of
the national story.
Like in the event that he ever got like like if Trump even considered him for VP kind of thing, and then you got to do this crazy interview where they like sit down with you and they ask you like, is there anything?
The bear business?
Oh, there was I did dump a dead bear in Central Park.
It is funny though. A lot of people were saying, a lot of my friends too were making jokes. Like Dan Carnegie did a funny one being like his publicist where it's just like, is there anything else? He's like, it might appear like I killed 3 hitchhikers, but it's just like, you don't understand. I was actually moving the dead bodies of the.
I just found them.
Okay, I happen to have a lot of dead frogs in my backyard. I can explain. It's just like a lot of.
Just dead shit.
The mask ban, I saw you talking about this.
Nassau County.
Just on the topic of RFK and COVID and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So they finally did a mask ban.
Yeah, they banned masks. And I think there's a bunch of states where like Halloween masks are technically illegal, which I understand. It all comes from actually the KKK because they banned like the original mask bans in many states where so the KKK had to show their faces.
Interesting.
And then the KKK was essentially like, well, we have like all these adverse like personal issues and people are trying to like kill us, so we have to not show our faces.
Well, obviously that's the reason they don't want to show their faces.
Yeah.
Like, would they have to really explain?
Well, they did. Well, there was like a legal thing. Like there was like a legal challenge where that was their explanation.
And then they won the legal challenge.
No, I think they lost because because I posted about it and people were commenting and there's several states.
And then so in COVID they basically reversed that and then they're going back to the old one.
Well, they're going back. I don't know if they're going back. It's just a crime thing, but you're still allowed to wear a medical mask. But then again, you're like, there are medical essentially it's just gonna be a reason again to just stop and frisk essentially. And
buddy, I was on the plane, so I had probably one of the most insane plane rides. It's mask related and I'm not changing the subject.
Okay.
But basically I had a 45-hour flight, right? Because it was 3 different flights. I was in Hong Kong, the whole thing. And then basically my flight got canceled. So I basically pulled 2 all-nighters in a row, right? Ugh. And then I was at the lounge and I got blackout drunk, basically.
Nice.
So I'm like, I've been in the airports for 45. I'm basically Tom Hanks. I'm walking around drunk. And I got on the plane and the 2 people... and by the way, I'll just tell you, I was drunk where I was to the point where I was talking to anyone. I was getting... dude, a couple people come up to recognize me. I talked to them for 45 minutes. bought a guy a beer. Like, dude, I was to the point where like I was just involving myself in every fucking thing that was going on. I was just like cruising around the airport. Some guy would have like a problem where they wouldn't give him like his luggage carry on.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what's going on here? I was like, just fucking give him his luggage. Dude, I swear to God, I'm meddling in all this business, right? And then I sat down. I've been up for 45 hours, and this couple beside me, both masked up. I swear to God, I almost had a Yellowstone moment. You know the guy from Yellowstone that did this? I was so close to being like, the fuck this? And then the girl's on her phone. They're both on their phones, right? And I'm kind of looking at them like, what the fuck are you guys doing? I'm like looking at other people like, you seeing this?
Where was this flight from?
This one was, oh, buddy, I'm in Chicago. All the flights to New York get canceled. So I wheel and deal. I buy a ticket from Chicago to somewhere else, Charlotte.
Okay.
And then that was going to to New York.
Yeah.
And then basically I'm like, I figured it out. So I take this flight to Charlotte, and then the Charlotte one gets canceled too.
Well, I was going to say, like, if you can't fly in New York, you can't fly in New York.
Well, sometimes it's just an issue where all the flights there were canceled, you know? I don't know.
No, I think it was just there's weather.
Well, sure,
That's
but it
insane.
said, but all the other flights said they were canceled. This one
Oh.
said it wasn't canceled, so I'm like, let's fucking do it. If it gets canceled before I take this flight, I'll do it. Whatever. That's not the important part. The
Yeah.
important part is basically I'm just zigzagging all over trying to get back home, right?
Globetrotting.
I'm globetrotting. I'm fucking
Blacked out the whole time.
It's 5. Oh, buddy, I'll tell you how drunk I was. It was 5:30 a.m., right? 45 hours I've been up. I'm drinking.
You didn't sleep at all?
I'm in the airport. I'm not in planes.
Oh, you're not on the planes.
I lied down in the airport. I tried to be one of those guys for like 5 minutes where I just lie down in the airport and I'm like freezing cold and I'm just like, I can't just be, I don't want to be.
You couldn't go get a hotel nearby?
Well, my flight was at this point, it's 2:45. I wait in the line for 2 hours to get my
Right.
flight changed. It's 2:45 and my flight's at 8. It's what am I going to do, right? I got to be back. It's like, what am I doing? It just doesn't make sense, right?
Just chopping it up with the janitors, kind of.
I was chopping it up with anyone who listen. I go to the lounge because the lounge opens at 5 a.m. I go in the lounge. I'm fucking walking around. I go to the bar, and the bar is don't open till like 8 or whatever. And I'm talking to this other guy. It's like, they're not gonna have the fucking. You're gonna want to open the bar. And this other guy looks at me. He goes, "Yeah, I mean it's 5 a.m." I go, "All right." I thought this guy was gonna fucking.
They thought you could be one of you.
This guy's like,
Yeah, he goes, I just have
5 a.m.
I just have a business thing for the day.
He goes, it's 5 a.m. But I went to the bar in the airport. And it's like cute black chicks working at the bar. And then right when I sat down, a bunch of 20-year-old dudes came up and they were like, these guys went hard being like, yo, you're my favorite comic, blah, blah. And I talked to these guys for like a bit, right? So they leave. And the chick that worked there was very like, oh, who are you? And we got to talking. So she's giving me free shots and I'm like chatting with her. She's like, oh, I love comedy. And she's like going off all the things that she loves. I'm like, oh yeah, Godfrey. I'm like buddies with him. She's like, oh my gosh. This girl's like, she's really impressed because these guys were pretty, pretty big on. They were gassing me up, right? So then I was so like deep into it that she starts going, you know this guy Charleston White? And she goes, him and Shannon Sharp. He goes, you know, I just don't like these black guys that take down black women. I'm so in it. I'm like, if you can't be funny without fucking taking down women, put the microphone down.
I do not subscribe to that kind of.
She goes, what's your Instagram? I'm not on social media. I go, underground thing.
Well, but you take down white women.
If you can't be funny without taking down black women, then you shouldn't even be fucking on the internet.
Yeah, you don't go after black women though.
I'm going hard, right? But I almost got into it with the mask people, and the one guy with the mask was just looking at backpacks the entire flight.
Oh yeah. just make sure.
The one girl's looking at Tig Notaro videos, and the guy was looking at backpacks.
Ooh, that sounds about right.
Boys, warmer, sunnier days are calling, which is why it's time to fuel up with Factor's no prep, no mess meals. And one thing that we've talked about Factor a lot, but I think I've mentioned enough that I've been talking to a few people, like Toby was saying the same thing. It's a good way to sort of lose weight, to be honest.
Sure, it's the best way because you know exactly what you're eating.
Yeah, they portion it really well.
I mean, go to a restaurant, you're like, you have no idea what's in there.
Exactly. So that's one thing that for me, I feel like it's been like the healthy option on that front as well, not just the convenience, which obviously the main thing is the convenience. For the summertime, menu chef-crafted meals with options like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, Keto, Factor's Fresh, never frozen meals, dietitian approved, ready to eat in just 2 minutes. No matter how busy you are, you'll always have time to enjoy nutritious, great tasting meals. So make today the day that you kickstart a new healthy routine. What are you waiting for? These guys, they got 35 different meals with more than 60 add-ons to choose from every week. You'll always have new flavors to explore. One life hack, if you are doing it, is sometimes you get to pick them for them, but now I've actually put it in my calendar that once a week I actually go and make sure I choose all my
the ones
meals.
you like, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I mean, again,
I just sort of wasn't doing that before, and I started and I like it way better.
Pick
even.
what you like. Plus, I mean, 2 minutes in the microwave, and then
Bing,
no
bang,
cleanup.
boom.
No cleanup.
No cleanup. Treat yourself to restaurant quality meals that feature premium ingredients like filet mignon, shrimp, and blackened salmon. Enjoy effortless supply for your lifestyle. Choose from 6 menu preferences to help you manage your calories, maximize protein intake, avoid meat, or simply eat well balanced. So head to factormeals.com/boyscast50. Use the code boyscast50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month. That is code boyscast50 at factormeals.com/boyscast50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month while your subscription is active.
That sounds like it checks out.
I'll tell you a few interesting things about Australia without talking about it for 2 hours, but so it's funny, Sydney has this thing where basically there was a fight and someone got like punched and died.
Yeah.
So they made a law that you're not allowed to move from one bar to another bar. So whatever bar you're at 1 a.m., you have to stay there, or maybe it's 12 or whatever. So no one's allowed, like if you're at a bar and your buddies are like, oh, I'm at this other bar, no one's in outs after like 1 p.m. or whatever,
Okay.
right? 1 a.m.
Yeah.
So it basically destroyed the bar industry. And it's just funny to watch, like, it's one of those things where like one bad thing happens, one guy died from a fight,
Yeah.
and they're like, to stop fighting, no one's in outs at bars. And then basically like it just like wrecked every bar, like killed the fucking bar economy. So many people's businesses went under just because, like, you know, mothers are like, we have to do something about
Do
this.
something about this fighting.
But just always shit like that always happens.
You see the
eh?
fake Burger Kings?
The fake Burger Kings is hilarious. So they basically, there's a guy in Australia who has the Australian rights to the name Burger King, and they tried to buy the guy out.
He refused.
The guy
Right.
refused, and now they just said, fine, we'll start our own thing, and it's called
it's
something else.
Hungry Jacks.
Hungry Jacks.
So
I think the guy's probably now is like, the price went down because the Hungry Jacks logos are all set up.
yeah, well, now it's one of those things. It's like when you know, it's the last person to sell a house in some development, and they go, fuck you, we're just going to build around you.
And now you're screwed.
yeah, now you're screwed. Now your place is worth nothing.
They had interesting stuff. They had a lot of protests in Australia. So they're like walking down the street, kind of like what you see at Union Square, but a lot like times 10, being like the PM is like making, you know, deals with the communist government to get himself like $500,000. Like, so apparently there's a lot of like,
$500,000?
I think it was 800 grand, he said.
okay.
And it was basically, they have these contracts, and then after office, they get these like huge contracts with the Chinese government. So there's a lot of people complaining about sort of the corruption there. People were less fat, but there were a lot of girls that look like Hannah Gatsby walking around. There's a lot. I even saw like an Asian Hannah Gatsby where it's just like sort of chubby with the haircut. Like,
Yeah.
the Hannah Gatsby look
Sure that
was
wasn't a
popular
guy?
over there. What?
Sure that wasn't a guy?
On first guess, I'd like to see the XY chromosomes.
It might have been a man.
I had a fat flight attendant that I couldn't sleep because every time she walked through the aisle, she bumped me. And I'm not even saying that to be funny. Legitimately, I was in the aisle, and this girl is too fat to walk through the aisle without bumping everyone. So she walks by every 15 seconds. Boom, bam, bam, bam. And then I couldn't sleep on that one. So I think that there should be a
nightmare.
weight limit for flight attendants.
yeah.
There's no homeless people. That's an interesting thing.
I mean, there's none, or they're just... Because I remember when I was there...
I did not see one.
Because a lot of their indigenous population is I think they maybe just ship them out, kind of thing. Or they have really good social services.
Well, you want to talk indigenous people? Something that fucking blew my mind is there indigenous people who refer to themselves as black there.
they are black.
They're not, though.
Yeah, they are.
Their skin is not black.
Some of them are.
Well, here's the thing. So I got to the bottom of it.
Yeah.
And apparently what happened...
Why are we whispering?
I'm this just speak. I know it's jarring when I don't speak at a really loud volume. This is just saying that people might hear. Just a sensitive subject. So what happened is apparently they were black. So a lot of the indigenous people there were very black, but it's like a bit of a different... It's like a different thing. It's like almost like black, but still with like different hair.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Kind of like when it's almost like when you see like a really, really dark Indian guy.
Yeah.
And then, kind of like how they had these kind of like Catholic schools in Canada, basically one of the big things they did was they were like, we want all the natives have to like basically, or Aboriginals have to
like assimilate.
Well, they have to like marry. They were like, we want white people and them to breed. So we basically breed out the like Aboriginals. Sure. I don't know the full story. This is you know, that might be there might be another version of it, but that's kind of the story that they're saying. Like that was the big like traumatic moment of for them. They were basically like there was laws where they're forced. So all these guys kind of look like a lot of them look almost like, you know, like probably kind of around the same color as natives here. Like maybe like they look like an Indian guy. They have hair like you maybe. Yeah. But they refer to themselves as black.
Yeah. Maybe it's changed a lot when I was there.
If you had like Nima, for example, was like there's guys that look like Nima, you know what I mean? And if they were like saying the N-word and stuff and they're like, I'm black, and you'd be like, you're not though. Do you know what I mean?
Sure. Maybe they have different versions.
I guess it's how like Logic or someone like that's like, I'm black, and you're like, but people kind of don't buy it. But it's this weird thing where they just have a complete different. But you're like, you follow American culture, so you know that. Yeah, it's just they have a different. They have a different definition for the word black.
They almost look like Sri Lankan.
That's what I said. Yes, but in their mind, they're like, well, yes, because they forced my like ancestors to like have sex with white people and make me.
I don't know.
Or make my parents.
Or make my parents, yeah.
So this is kind of the vibe, but it's interesting.
They'll be
like a black guy.
Are they putting them on the front of the LGBT there? Or are they behind on that?
Oh, I wonder if they're on the LGBT thing. Yeah,
like in Canada, are they kind of getting their come up?
I don't know, but I think that's the main issue there.
Yeah,
but they don't have. But you were mentioning, I think the idea is they just have like a crazy socialist state where it's like they probably give them houses and a lot of rehabs and all that sort of stuff. But the big difference, one of the big things, is a lot of those programs are easier to do when you don't have any borders. So like they have very tight immigration, and you're just like, dude, if you want to like, you know, illegally migrate to Australia, it's like you can't even get on the plane without your visa. So it's like you basically have to take a boat.
Yeah, and there, I don't know if they do it anymore, but I remember there, like probably 5 years ago, if you came by boat, they literally put you in these like crazy detention centers, like immediately. Like they don't fuck around like the United States,
right? So
where they go, we'll give you an asylum claim. They're like, no asylum claims. You're going to prison.
So I think people are a little more on board with socialist policies when you're like, or like social policies for stuff like that. When you're just like, we kind of know how many people are here and we know what it costs or whatever, blah, blah, blah. So it doesn't like bankrupt a city like the problem that's happening in New York or whatever, right? Yeah. But anyways, it's just interesting. It's like jarring living in New York to be like, there's no people just like kind of walking around the streets trying to kill you.
It's nice. It's nice. Nice society.
And then my last comment was they don't do coffees. They only do espresso machines, which is it drives me nuts.
Oh, you know what? Another thing
everywhere you go, it's like, hey, would you like a sip of coffee?
I don't know if they still do it, but I remember there, which is crazy, is if you ever go to any fast food place, they charge you for the ketchup packets.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't like that.
No, I don't like that at all. That is not a free society.
What kind of shit is that?
What? You gotta decide.
What kind of communist shit is that?
I gotta decide how many ketchup packets I need up front.
And you gotta wait in ketchup packet lines?
Ugh.
No, thank you.
I don't know if they changed that, but when I was there, I remember like, what do you mean I got to pay for ketchup packets?
Yeah, no, thank you. But all in all, the trip was good, and all the shows were packed, and all the people there were like pretty cool, and all the guys I hung out with, like all the Australian comics were cool. Nice. Although I did get in a conversation where they were talking about like a lot of the guys there were like, you know, we think that Australia is going to be like a hub, like a lot of people are going to move there, and I was like, are you guys out of your fucking mind?
You have Arj Barker.
They think that like in their mind, like some of these guys talk about Australia like, oh yeah, we're probably like next up.
And
it was like, are you fucking
I don't think so.
They think that they're the next like America. Like that's how they see it. And I was like, you guys are fucking out of your mind, dude.
I mean, you guys aren't even the next Canada. Maybe they're the next Canada. They're probably
the next
similar population.
I mean, yeah, they're the next Australia.
Yeah, that's true.
You already have your frame of reference already. Yeah, and that's what you're staying.
Yeah, you are Australia, and you will remain Australia.
Okay, The Rock. Oh, there's two. The Rock and Mr. Beast are both in some trouble. And Mr. Beast is interesting because I think I might have put a hex on him. We're saying that I wasn't happy with him the way he was treating people. And that's kind of a big part of what he's in trouble for.
Well, the main thing is the other stuff. with the.
You're saying it's the Chris Tyson stuff that started that, right?
Chris Tyson stuff is.
Well, that's what started the whole thing, but then they started going back to Mr. Beast, and you're like, he kind of like, they're saying what I'm saying, where he basically like would get people to be on his programs and basically, you know, kind of screw them over, and then you know, people are like, I need diabetes medication, and he's like, you're fuck you,
yeah,
whatever. And I said, I'm obviously it's not him,
no,
but I'm just saying, like, I know people that it's the guy kind of screwed them over, right? And it was like, if you're gonna run like a I'm the nicest guy in the world operation, same with Ellen, you're just like, well, you kind of need to be like, hey, we can't be dicks to everyone.
Yeah, you gotta treat them very well.
We can't screw people over. We can't like make someone wait in a trailer and then for 3 days and then send them home and be like, you're not getting paid for that, because it's like our whole thing is how nice we are.
Yeah, for sure. And you're promising them.
That being said, his fans are 1-year-olds, so I don't think it matters.
That's true. Yeah, but the Mr. Beast thing is he has a games thing coming up, like one of the Mr. Beast games. I think it says it's shot in Toronto, or they're doing it in Toronto, but they're just like 1,000 people. They were like, there was no food and stuff.
Hilarious.
They're like, is this the game? They go, no, this is not. This isn't actually the competition. You're just in a holding for
starving people.
And then there was like, and then they found out after the fact that they actually brought in 2,000 people. So then 1,000 people got cut. I mean, they like weren't feeding them and stuff.
Yeah, that's what they do. They're just bring in that's the problem. It's like they'll sometimes be like, you know, in casting, a lot of times you'll be like put on hold, but it's like they're doing, and you get it if you're an actor. You're just like, if you're an actor until you're the top guy, you're like, you will be treated like fucking
but also
garbage.
You
but
get to go home when you're on hold. You're like sitting in your house on hold. You're not sitting in a fucking pen in the middle of the woods.
But if you just take like a normal guy from Facebook that's like some guy from the Midwest or whatever, some random country, and you're just like, I'm going to treat this guy like shit. It's like, it's mean now.
Yeah, and it's like, bye, Mr. Beast. You're like, why would Mr. Beast do this to me?
Why would Mr. Beast do this to me?
Why won't Mr. Beast let me get my insulin?
It is. I guess it's at that point where all these celebrities who have really, really like pushed their nice guy image, it's like they're toppling down a little bit.
Yeah.
Everyone
You don't want to be too nice.
You don't want to be too nice because it's not real ever.
No.
You know what I mean? It's like, there's too much information for you people to have like these insanely fake brand images, right?
Yeah.
But I think that The Rock had a funny one because basically he made this $11 million deal with the army to do like 5 Instagram posts, by the way. This guy's fucking life is nuts.
$1 million a post.
Buddy, everything The Rock posts, like you watch him like drawing with a pencil. He's like, he got money from that pencil company. He's walking down the streets. The shoe company paid him. The pants company paid him. I've actually seen things where like he makes these deals. Like he eats at a restaurant. You're like, they just give him $1 million for that post. This guy's living an insane life, right?
Yeah.
So everything he does, you're like, hey, why don't you walk into this store? It's like, okay, that's paid. That's paid.
Million, please.
Yeah, everything this guy
posts. For him to stiff the army though.
Well, he sort of stiffed the army because he did a half-assed Instagram.
Well, he just didn't. They're like, you owe us more posts, and you're like, how hard is it to just make some fucking? They're like, we gave you the posts. You just have to post them.
And he didn't want to post.
And he's like, I don't want to post them.
But then on top of that, the army said they weren't working, and it made recruitment numbers go down.
I don't know. It made recruitment numbers go down. Like,
I don't know about
that's
that.
Crazy to blame The Rock. He goes, yeah, people don't want to be in the army anymore. his fault. That is The Rock.
The Rock's Instagram post.
The Rock's Instagram post. We were really.
It is possible that The Rock is not really. Because people see The Rock as a little bit like soft and fake, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So maybe he's not really.
But he made
tapping
the
into
deal.
The people.
It's like you're willing to post the 2, but 5 is your limit. Or you go, I don't. Like,
well, obviously, if you're The Rock doesn't want to do more posts, you call them and be like, hey, I'm not going to do more posts. Here's your money back.
Yeah, here's your money back. But I guess he didn't. I mean, the United States military is probably not the enemy you want to be making either.
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
No, but I guess the issue too was they were going to do a big promotion during his football league. What is his new football league?
Yeah, if you're running a football league, you got to have the army as a partner, man.
Yeah, I mean the NFL does. Like you see big ads for
the army
on the NFL, and then I guess people are like, nobody's watching this shit, so those posts didn't do well.
The only way. I mean, this is one of those things where they kind of have to learn this lesson all over and over and over again. The way that you get dudes to do things is you convince them that you have to convince the girls that it's cool to do. Because you have to convince the girls to fuck these guys.
Yes.
Like that's, as much as you watch history, when you look at every different time, recruitment numbers go up when girls that's how they get people to do forever.
Well, I guess with wars too, but you can't always have those.
What do you mean? Forever they would get guys to be like, you know, oh, I don't want to be like a fucking police officer. They go, girls love a man in uniform.
right.
They go, well, I got such me. Like, you have, but if it works, it's real, right? So it's not a scam.
No.
You're like, if girls actually believe that, and you can convince girls of things where you like, this is like a valiant thing for a guy to be, that's hot. You see that guy that just went to like serve for his country, that's hot. And girls are like, well, then I should suck him off then. And then if you can get that system, then guys are like, guys are like willing to do that trade-off where you're like, hey, listen, chance you die, but you're gonna get a sniz tsunami after you're done. Every guy's willing to do that trade-off.
So then maybe they should be getting sponsored posts from Kim Kardashian.
Kind of.
Yeah, they're going,
legitimately. That's what you
they're
need.
looking at it all
you need to
wrong.
get Kim Kardashian to do a sponsored post where like, it's so hot when I put my, you know, my new boyfriend, when Pete Davidson wears the army outfit, I just die.
Yeah, I love it.
Oh my God, I'm drooling.
I just die like our enemies overseas.
Yeah. If you convince like hot chicks to do posts where they say, "Oh my God, it's so fucking hot to be in the army," that is how you get recruitment up.
Interesting. Yeah, I wonder if they're gonna try that.
I don't think so.
Probably not. Probably not. They probably can't afford Kim Kardashian.
Because Rock sort of convinces, he sort of seems phony a little bit. I don't think there's a lot of
he's also all jacked and Mr. America kind of deal.
I know, but was he even in the army?
No.
Well, then I don't know. It's like, he's just like support the troops kind of guy. But you're like, yeah, you support every cause.
Yeah, that's
There's
true.
nothing you don't support.
That's true. He likes a lot of causes.
He supports everything. So it's like, you know, at that point, it's like you support the army. No shit. You support everything.
Yeah.
Well, just speaking of armies, I do a pretty good job of segueing these things, right?
Sure.
So this is the final boss of Women Most Affected. War shatters the dating scene for women in Ukraine.
That's too bad.
Women are having a hard time.
War is hell
But this is
on women.
It's war is hell on women. This is New York Times, by the way. We're not talking. This is in some small publication.
This is the Lion New York Times.
This is the Lion and Crying New York Times, who is saying that women in Ukraine are having a really hard time. And they actually have done this piece being like, can you imagine being one of these women whose life is so affected by the dating scene being bad because the guys keep dying?
Yeah, because there's like all the guys come back and they don't. And some of them are like, the guy's not dead, but she's like, he only has one leg.
Icky.
Yeah, she goes.
She gave her the ick. The guy had one leg.
The one leg gave her the ick a bit. He goes,
She has to deal with having
lost his leg fighting for your fucking freedom and kind of yuck.
For the past 2.5 years, weird name, Katerina Barakna, I think, Barakna, has wanted to meet someone special, but war keeps getting in the way.
War.
She met a soldier, but then he was sent to the front lines. She traded text messages with another man, but those fizzled because he was in no mood to meet, fearing he might soon be drafted. On the dating app Bumble, she thought she liked the looks of this hipster, but then when she scrolled through his photographs, she noticed his amputated leg. Poor fucking thing.
Now, he is a hipster. Did he just amputate it because it's cool?
He thinks that's the new...
It might be, like, that might just be a hipster trend and not...
trend.
He goes, I'm a pacifist. I'm not fighting
Oh,
shit.
no, sorry.
No, this is a cosmetic amputation.
I wasn't in the army. I just identify as a one-leg guy. The nerve of them to write this article of like,
Yeah,
poor
you don't
women,
have to write every article.
That's a tough one.
Yeah, to just be like, yeah, poor thing. And you go, yeah, I mean, I guess it'll suck, but
If I was this girl, I'd be like, are you sure people are going to empathize with me in this scenario?
this is kind of what I'm going for, is to kind of get some sympathy, Dick, here.
I know.
Yeah.
By the way, though,
Although if the war ends and you make it back, dude, Sniz City.
just thinking that, it's Guelph all
Holy-
over again.
You're in gender studies class for your whole life. Your whole country is gender studies class. Just like,
Legitimately,
what, I'm the only guy right here?
that is probably one of the war things when you're like in a real war like Ukraine and Russia are, where like a lot of people are dying. You're just
Yeah.
like, if I don't die.
Oh, that's probably how they're fucking gassing them up. Goes, look, defeat the enemy and you'll have so much sniz waiting for you.
Your dick's still working? You go, the doctor goes, yeah, you're going to need it.
You're going to have some honorable discharge coming out of that bad boy. You know what I mean?
You go, I've noticed that your dick is a little sore. The guy goes, my dick's not a little sore. He goes, no, it will be.
It will be. Wait till you get back.
I've noticed that your dick has clinical wetitis, soaking.
Yeah, and I don't think even the Ukrainian chicks, like, they're not gonna all become lesbians like they would here.
No, here they
Like here, like in Brooklyn, if or whatever, they send them, all these people disappear.
Well, that's one of the things she said is she goes, it's also, I'll just read it. There's, I don't know where it is. We'll get there. I looked at his profile for 15 minutes and felt so sorry for him, said Barakna, 35, a marketing director for a clothing brand in Kiev. She wondered if she could handle a relationship with a maimed war veteran. Then she swiped left, removing him from potential matches. I felt I'm not ready for that. So that's the kind of trauma that she has to fucking
got a
deal
lot
with.
of trauma to deal with.
She had to swipe left on a guy with no legs.
I would definitely swipe left on some no-legged broads.
Well, sure,
Yeah.
but would you now have the fucking audacity to be featured in an article about what you had to go through swiping left on this fucking fat chick with one leg?
No, that dies with me and everybody who watches this podcast.
You never talk about it ever again.
Yeah. You're definitely not trying to be a victim of this.
Dating women who are sex trafficked is really hard for men. That's the equivalent.
Yeah, basically.
For women, the problem is particularly acute. Tens of thousands of men have died. Many more on the front lines. Some have fled the country, and others are reluctant to leave their homes, fearful of being stopped in the street by draft officers. In cities like Kiev, the capital, the presence of men has noticeably dwindled. In some villages, conscription has hollowed out the male population. This leaves a small percentage of men who are ready and want relationships, said Margarita.
And
so it's not just one girl. They found a couple
women
girls.
in it. Let's get there. The guy who somehow dodged the draft because they're like, yeah, I got bunions. And they're like, dude, it is all you can eat buffet right now.
It is a little bit, though. If you can give yourself an injury, you're like, would you, stab yourself so you can get sniz?
Oh, I mean, I'm sure tons of people did that to not go to the war. I'm sure tons of people
but there's a
just smashed-
secondary component of it where you're fucking bathing in it now.
Yeah, but I'm sure there's a bunch of dudes who just like hit their hand with a fucking hammer to not have to go to the war.
Several women have said in interviews that they're worried about dating servicemen who might have war trauma.
Oh, you're worried? Oh, chicks don't love trauma anymore? Go, we like childhood trauma. War trauma gives me
We
the
like
ick.
fake trauma.
Yeah, not real trauma.
We
like
want
war
a
trauma.
guy whose parents were divorced, even though 50% of people's parents are divorced, and he has some issues with it.
Imagine the guy being like, "Man, I got so much trauma. It's gonna be sick when I get back." And they go, "Not that kind of trauma."
And we're not talking. We don't want that much trauma. The war has also heightened ideological divides. This is what I meant to find. Crushing potential relationships that may have blossomed before the conflict. Some women now refuse to date draft dodgers, saying that they are unpatriotic. So they're doing what I just said.
Yeah.
They've convinced girls that you don't want no small dick draft dodging man.
No. Yeah, you don't want. So they don't want the draft dodgers. They don't want the war heroes. Mm-hmm. What do you want, ladies?
Can't make up their fucking mind.
Can't make up your fucking mind.
These broads can't make up their mind.
They just want, I mean, it is a classic woman thing. They go, yeah, we just want the most heroic dudes, 40 kills.
With no trauma.
Didn't get touched. Has no problem falling asleep at night.
But he's also soft.
Yeah, he's a little softy. He's likes cats, but likes animals.
They want Rambo.
Yeah, they literally want Well, they don't know. Rambo would be
Rambo's too much trauma.
Too much trauma. Way too much trauma. They don't want Rambo. They want Rambo, but like in
No, they want what's that?
But like Harry Styles.
They want
Rambo.
the guy from Dune.
Yeah, exactly. Chalamet.
Yeah, like a buck 30 dripping wet that somehow just murdered everyone.
That's the ideal. You go, there's two of those guys.
The strain on war on Ukrainian men is evident in the dating apps, observing that many look very depressed and tired.
That's just Eastern European.
Some of those guys.
That's just Russian, Ukrainian.
It's funny to think of
All
guys.
sour face, like they just look like me.
Yeah, his photo on the dating app, just 5 swipe, and it's the same pose, just in 5 different places.
Yeah, this is what we call smile.
Yeah, this is smile.
I am smiling.
Why smile? Nothing to smile for. That's his caption.
Swipe right if you want a good time.
So that's not doing it for us. Some of the guys look depressed.
Oh, you don't like the depressed boy?
Some of them even look tired.
Like, all right, you might have to lower your standards here a little bit. There's a lot less guys available. Period.
She, another woman, said some of the men's mood was gloomy.
Oh, yeah. I'd be pretty gloomy if I was about to get fucking drafted into the meat grinder.
Well, that's the thing. You're fucking 5 minutes into this guy paying for your dinner, and you're like, you're kind of bumming me out.
He goes, any day I could be deployed.
And she goes, yeah, check, please.
Yeah. Goes,
You're going to grab that?
This isn't really. I'm not vibing right now. The vibe is kind of off because I'm trying to like just have fun, and you're kind of bringing me down a bit with this whole getting drafted business.
Yeah, you're inflicting your trauma on me right now.
Look, I get that your whole family has been murdered, but
I'm not really feeling the vibe. Okay, we have the cap of the week now too.
Cap of the week.
Cap of the week. Forget bad boys. Now, every woman wants a simp. Openly romantic men who are obsessed with their girlfriends and constantly post photos of them, like Tom Holland and Travis Kelce, are the new ideal as women reject unhealthy power dynamics. So,
Okay, beat Taylor Swift, and then you'll get Travis Kelce. Fuck off.
well, there's that part of it. But also the second part of it is women saying we're officially we're done with the bad boy.
Done with the bad boy.
Where have I heard that for the last 1,000 years?
Okay.
I'm not buying the.
No, you're not.
I'm officially done with the bad boy.
No.
You're like, oh, what's your new match? Famous football player who's soft.
Yeah. Trust me. You are hardwired to like the bad boys.
This is the same as the. This is sort of the same as the Ukrainian thing, where they're just like, I don't want the bad boy. Yes, you do. And they go, I don't want the bad boy. What do you want? Billionaire, nice guy.
They don't want you, so.
And no, it's kind of crazy. They didn't seem to love none of them were talking about Travis Kelce as much before he dated Taylor Swift.
No, he was.
Tom Holland's their type now. You know you don't say.
You don't. Oh, you like Harry Styles, do you?
Crazy.
You don't say.
Fucking wacko.
Oh, yeah.
What a switch.
Even though that's not true. They do.
Well, the other part of this that's even funny is like those guys, a lot of these guys, they go, he's posting his girlfriend nonstop on social media. Like Kanye West does that. It was like, and you know what they're probably doing? Like once they're probably taking the photo like this and then being like, you're standing wrong.
Yeah.
No.
Is anybody being like, Kanye's wife is really being treated great?
Yeah, exactly. These guys that just post their girlfriend nonstop. I know guys, but by the way, most people that you know that are just like nonstop posting with their girlfriend, that is the oldest thing in the book where they're like, these are two psychopaths.
Yes, for sure.
And the guy's just like, he's just sitting there. He's like, what? Do you want to? Why are you even outside if you're not going to pose right? And then they're posing for the photo like, I love her more than ever.
Yeah.
Like a lot of those guys are fucking nightmares.
Or it's she comes to him and she goes, so here are the photos that I've selected for you to post.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah. You can post any of these.
This is what you can post.
This is what you will be posting.
This is what you will be posting.
Yeah. He goes, and you have until tomorrow at this time to post at least one.
Oh, your image is getting curated.
Correct. Yeah.
Gone are the days of bad boys and players dominating the dating scene.
Sure.
Yeah.
Bad news for bad boys. You're out.
You're bad news for bad boys. You're fucking out.
Yeah, all these NFL
Remember 10 years ago when they were saying nerds were in? They always have...
let's see who wrote this. A fucking nerd. Nice try.
Instead, women are increasingly swooning over men who are confident enough to publicly celebrate and prioritize their significant others. Those are the most controlling
you're swooning over taken guys? That's who you're swooning over? Like, how does this work for practical dating stuff? You're like, oh, I love a guy.
We're also dating an influencer.
Yeah, but you're like, okay, so the guy's married. What about, how does this apply to men who are not?
I'll tell you what, a guy being like, I cry and I'll post photos of you. You're like, can you fucking stop talking to me?
Yeah, for sure.
Can you get away from me, you creep?
You know what? It's like, if we were together, I'd post so many photos.
I'd post the photos of you every day.
Every day. I would post so many photos of us.
Get the fuck
away
from me.
If you just give me a chance, I'll be posting photos of us nonstop. He goes, ew.
Ew.
Can you punch me or something? Gross.
As a dating and relationship coach, I'm really excited to see this cultural shift away from the old bad boy trope towards a new appreciation for men who are openly devoted to their partners. A lot of people are telling their relationship coach, they're going in being like, I'd like a nice guy. I was like, well, yeah, no shit, that's what you say.
Yeah.
Well, you wouldn't be at the relationship coach probably if you did.
There's lots of nice guys. They finish last. There's the reason why that's a saying.
Also, it's so funny, the relationship coach going in there and being like, I'm done with bad boys. She goes, and the relationship coach is so fucking stupid. She's going writing an article being like, they're done with that. Like,
look, there's a lot of nice guys. The problem is they're missing a fucking leg.
hey, that's the problem, man.
Yeah. They exist.
You can't win with these.
Nah.
They've been saying this shit for 20 years, by the way. There's always some new thing where they're like, you know.
The only thing that we have to look forward to is that
They never say rich guys are out, do they?
No, rich guys are never out for some reason.
It's always just a different brand of rich guy that's in.
Right. That's a good point. Rich guys are always quite popular.
It's a different brand of rich guy that's in. Rich guys with a very, very curated brand image of niceness.
Yes.
They want male Ellens.
I mean, they don't mind rich bad boys.
Well, they're apparently the rich bad boys are out, but it turns out they're not.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, exactly. See, she's suggested that the change has been driven by two key factors. First, social media has made it easier than ever for men to showcase their more sensitive and nurturing sides. I mean, this
It's a
article,
trick. It's a fucking. He hired a photographer. Like that dog is a rental. Like, what are you talking about?
The men that I know that have all the profile photos with the dogs and stuff like that, they are pieces of shit.
Yeah, like
I got news for you.
That's like red flag number one. Is too many dog photos. Do you work with dogs? No. Where'd the dogs come from then?
I'm turning over a new leaf. I want a man that's nice. Ooh, a dog.
Ooh, a dog. Oh,
I'll go with him.
that seems
Let me go suck him off. Coming back, turns out he was bad.
He's a fucking bad boy.
He's a
real piece of shit.
Secondly, I think women are increasingly rejecting the unhealthy power dynamics and emotional unavailability that comes with the bad boy archetype. They're craving partners who are secure enough to be vulnerable, communicative, and devoid. So what they mean is they want a guy who's secure enough to not be himself.
Sure.
Like secure enough to either, there's two guys that do that. Either a guy who's putting it on or a guy who's an emotional mess usually.
Yeah, and the emotional mess is like, you definitely don't want the emotional mess guy. Yeah, he's nice by some measure.
The Pete Davidsons.
Yeah, but again, we say that as like, that's the...
None of this applies to rich famous people.
Yeah, none of this applies to a guy who's like a clerk at a bank. Like, that's like, the guy who's a clerk at a bank is not like, oh, I want you to be vulnerable and cry all the time. No, they do not want that.
Now you don't.
No.
Yeah, so anyways, that's the cap of the week.
Cap of the week.
Dating is hard for women.
Mm-hmm.
There are too many
women,
guys.
man.
Too many guys are missing a limb.
Poor women. Too many
things,
war
man.
vets.
Yeah. Dating coach is so funny because if the dating coach is tricked with this, you got a bad dating coach on your hand.
Sure, but maybe this is good for business.
Well, there's a lot going on. We're going to head over to our patreon.com/theboyscast, the London debacle. We'll talk about that kind of stuff and lots of other things. There's lots going on. But
Lots going on in the world.
appreciate everyone who has been signing up and appreciate everyone who came to the Australian shows. I'm getting ready to release my stand-up special and then start touring all over the world again for another 8 months. So good. Will be good to see y'all. And we have Bugman planned.
Yeah, Bugman versus Bugman Part 3.
Any final thoughts from the kid Danny Polishchuk?
I don't know who's fighting that Algerian chick, but let's go.
Let's fucking go.
I'll be watching.
Okay.
Later.
Peace.